I'm Combat Craig, and today we're going to talk about valuable VA disability claims that the VA doesn't want you to know about. Every time you file a new claim, you open yourself up to a reevaluation of all your conditions. If you're at 50% and you're trying to get to 70%, you might as well file a valuable VA claim that has a high likelihood of actually getting you to 70% using the combined ratings table, aka VA math. Valuable VA claims are claims for disabilities that typically come in at 30% or higher. If you're going to spend time and effort on a VA claim, you need to do a risk assessment on that claim, right? If I'm going to risk a reduction in order to get a higher rating, does it make sense to file a hearing loss claim that has a high likelihood of coming back at 0% if you win it? For me, the answer is no. I'm not going to put my 100% PNT status on the line for a high risk, no reward scenario. That's just me. You might be different. I call this leveling up your VA claim. As I'm going to be focused on the disabilities themselves in this video, you want to think, do you have these disabilities? Can you work this into your overall strategy? It's all about having a strategy. It's all about risk versus reward, understanding the VA rating criteria, and, what is the likelihood of me actually winning this claim and winning the compensation that I'm seeking? I cover VA claim strategy in depth in my bootcamp at combatcraig.com. Links in the description. Let's go into the meat and potatoes of this video, and that is valuable VA disability claims the VA doesn't want you to know about. Why do I phrase it like that? Because the VA is the enemy. They don't want you to know about anything. They don't want you to know about medical evidence. They don't want you to know that everything you do is a legal process. Everything is risk versus reward. They don't want you to know any of that stuff. They do a horrible job of advertising it, if they even do. I mean, they have a website now, but back when I got out, none of this stuff was around. I sure wish there was a Combat Craig out there helping me back in the early 90s. And I've heard that before from you guys. VA disability ratings for arm conditions. We're hard on our arms. I busted my elbow and I got hardware here on my right arm. I also have ulnar nerve damage in my right hand as a result of failed neck surgery. I don't know how many times I've dislocated and sprained both arms and wrists multiple times. I'm surprised I haven't broken more stuff in my arms, but I was tough on my entire body and my arms are no exception. The VA uses 38 CFR 4.71A diagnostic code 5201 to rate limitation of the arm at 20, 30, or 40%. VA takes into consideration whether the veteran's dominant or non-dominant arm is affected and how severely it's limited. So I'm right hand dominant, right? They know that. And, you run your mouth at VA medical appointments and all that stuff. This kind of information they get from you. This would be a positive piece of information. But keep running your mouth and you're going to bury yourself. So watch what you say to these guys because the VA is the enemy. But they know I'm right hand dominant. So if there's a condition with my right hand, they're going to give me a little bit more because it's my dominant hand. So that's something to keep in mind. As VA claims for arm conditions are orthopedic conditions, the average rating is 30%. And that's why it makes it onto my list of valuable VA claims the VA doesn't want you to know about. VA disability ratings for traumatic brain injury. Traumatic brain injury can be caused by many factors. Symptoms of TBI may include short-term memory loss, inability to follow directions, headaches, personality changes. It's wide-ranging, the symptoms that you get from TBIs. VA rates TBIs based on residual symptoms a veteran is currently experiencing due to trauma under 38 CFR 4.124A. These are the things that you're currently experiencing. So you got the TBI, it incurred in service, and then you had residual symptoms since then, whether that was 35 years ago or 3 months ago. Continuity of symptomatology is what that's called. They want to see symptoms all the way through, especially if you're trying to establish a direct service connection claim. Rating criteria for TBI residuals are divided into 10 subcategories to evaluate the condition based on the level of severity and impairment in each area. Ratings range from 0 to 100% depending on the severity of your conditions. And if you put in the time to get this claim right, you can also qualify for special monthly compensation T. It'll give you $9,535.91 tax-free every single month until the day you die. SMC-T is the same as SMC-R2. It's the highest paid special monthly compensation. That's no joke. So you have to make sure that your TBI gets diagnosed right, your symptoms are classified right. You know, this one's part of your PTSD, this one's part of your TBI, your migraines are separate because they're over here rated under this condition. You want to make sure that you have a doctor that knows what they're doing and puts all the symptoms where they're supposed to be so you can get into these higher levels, or in this case, the highest level available to any veteran. VA disability claims for major depressive disorder. Depression is a serious mental health condition. It affects the way that you think, you feel, you act, what you do. Symptoms of depression may include feelings of sadness, worthlessness, hopelessness, lack of motivation or interest, sleep issues, concentration issues, the list goes on and on. Irritability, fatigue. Sounding familiar? Sounds like my life. Depression is rated under 38 CFR 4.130, the general rating formula for mental health disorders, and they're rated at 0, 10, 30, 50, 70, or 100%, depending on the level of social and occupational impairment. This is the way they rate all mental health conditions. It's based on the level of social and occupational impairment. This is what you need to know about all mental health conditions. Mental health conditions of any kind will always make it onto my list of valuable VA claims. Major depressive disorder also makes a great secondary condition. If you're in pain all the time, I'm sure you're suffering for major depressive disorder. I know I am. It's depressing as shit, the amount of pain I'm in. Another way to level up your VA claim is to file a secondary VA claim for depression. If you're already service-connected for one disability and that disability causes you depression, then you could file a claim for depression secondary to whatever is causing it. I have horrible problems with my feet, and that's depressing. Every time I step on my feet, it's depressing. My feet let me down, my plantar fasciitis, my metatarsalgia. What else do I got? Pes planus, flat feet. Calcaneal bone spur. It doesn't get better with age. The whole thing's depressing. Sometimes I don't even step out of bed. It's so depressing. So I already have a diagnosis of major depressive disorder, and I also have a solid mental health rating at 70% to go along with it. But if I didn't have that rating, I would definitely be filing a depression claim secondary to my feet for sure. That strategy, that's my boot camp. That's what I talk about. I preach it and I teach it. You need a doctor that can help you with a Nexus letter. Check out my med team. Here's an email address. Hit them up. Tell them you need a Nexus.